Three candidates are vying for the Democratic nomination for West Virginia's House of Delegates District 14. Our Thomas Chase spoke with the candidates and has more.
Jim Marion, Crystal Butcher, and Jonathan White are running for the Democrat nomination for West Virginia's House of Delegates District 14. District 14 contains southern portions of Wirt County and western portions of Wirt County. Jim Marion is a retired UPS delivery driver and retired member of the Teamsters Union. Marion says he believes that regular people haven't been represented well in Charleston, teachers need a pay raise, and says that the state needs to be careful before constructing data centers. Marion spoke on what he hopes to accomplish if elected to the House of Delegates in November.
10% pay raise for the teachers and school personnel. I'd like to do away with the right to work law because it's really a right to work for less law. It's hurting the unions, and we need the unions. We need to have prevailing wage back to help get better contracts in West Virginia. You know, just basically help the people as best I can, and I'm willing to listen to anybody.
Crystal Butcher is an executive director for a nonprofit dedicated to supporting individuals with intellectual and developmental disabilities. Butcher is running a campaign based on a community stakeholder credit, which Butcher says is a, quote, landmark pro-education tax reform initiative designed to unify homeowners, renters, and schools.
The core mission is to decouple the financial burden of local property taxes from the essential need for high-quality public education. If we implement a state-funded rebate for local school excess levies, we are essentially creating a system where voting yes for a school levy results in a net zero cost to the taxpayer.
Jonathan White did not respond to WTAP's request for comment. In the 14th District, I'm Thomas Chase with WTAP News.